We are back. Welcome to my channel, Get Legit LLC, and today we will be having a discussion about an additional clip that was dropped by Owen yesterday as it relates to Martel and Melody Holt custody battle. And I call it a battle because really and truly, when you take matters to court, it is a battle. All the times for nice talking, those things are over with. The moment you take a matter to court, it literally is war. And so Martel kind of gave us some information and some insight into what is happening in their custody battle. Get Legit LLC, just so if those of you who don't know, at this channel we cite our source, and here whatever information we use is for educational, informational purposes, and that we believe that the information we're using, copyrighted information, constitute fair use under Section 107 of the United States Copyright Legislation 1976. For those persons who believe that what we're using goes beyond fair use, our email address is there. Please feel free to contact us so we can have a dialogue, and perhaps if it really offends the maker of those materials that we use, we will then take it down and apologize. So let's get into it. You know, at our channel, we're trying to grow. We only have, I believe, 205 subscribers, and so I ask you all to please subscribe to our channel, to my channel, so that we could provide more content of this nature. And the kind of information, the content we provide here is we look at all things happening in social media, and then we look at the legal issues or potential legal issues that can emanate from those things happening in social media. And so we ask you all to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Okay, let's get into it. So yesterday, Owen graced us with a video, and in that we saw Martel and his mother discussing, giving us an update as to the custody battle. And so to that end, I decided to make this video as it relates to custody. What else? Okay, so here on the slide you see I said, Martel Holt, you are the casus belli. Casus belli is a Latin term. It means the provocation that led to the war, the reason for the war. When you take matters to court, really and truly, it is a battle. And that battle oftentimes developed into a war. Martel explained that he wanted the matter to be mediating, and they went to mediation. He gave Mel his 6 points, and Mel decided against those 6 points. He never mentioned everything he had on the 6 points. He only mentioned, from what I recall, that he didn't want any male to be watching his children. I don't know when he's going to get over that. I don't know when his homophobic behavior will stop and when people will really call him out on it. I know other bloggers have been having the conversation, but I think that really requires a real conversation as it relates to legislation, as it relates to international obligations of this country, and as it relates to just the humanity. Why is it that he has an issue with his children's uncle and uncle's husband taking care of the kids? As long as there is no proof that anything sinister, anything to show neglect or to show abuse has occurred or is occurring, I don't see why he's hell-bent on not having the uncle watch his kids. But moving along. So for those of you who might want to know, well, really, what is the issue when it comes to custody? What is custody legally? So let's get into it. Bear in mind, people, this is not legal advice. This is information I researched and information that I decided to give you all. For those of you who want to know more, those of you who are probably going through a situation similar to Melody's in custody court, then feel free, contact an attorney, have them give you advice in your particular state, because the state I am referring to here from my research is Alabama. Okay, so each state has different laws. So contact your attorney in your respective state that you're in, respective country, because I know I do have people from other countries who watch the video. And so just contact your attorney, explain to them what is happening. Don't hold anything back. Give all the details. All right? They say the devil hides in the details, and that is true. So for those of you who are familiar with Love and Marriage Huntsville, you know that Melody and Martel, prior to the application or the motion for custody, they had a 50-50. And we I believe that 50-50 was really and truly in the best interest of the children. It was in the best interest of the children because both children had equal time with mother and with father at different intervals. And so we saw that, and from what we were able to see on the outside, it seemed as though it was working well. However, then came the destined trip, and for whatever reason, I believe it was the last segment, Martel and his mother were talking, and from that, he kind of hinted at something in terms of a case. However, it wasn't until Melody did an interview that we realized and we heard that they are in custody court. When Melody and Martel agreed to the 50-50 custody, that came by virtue of their divorce agreement. And so what happened there is that they both would have agreed to these terms, and so it would not have been terms set by a court. However, now because Martel had petitioned her for custody, what it means is that it will be heard by a court, especially since that Melody has not agreed to the mediation terms. It will be heard by a judge, and the judge will have an opportunity, perhaps for the very first time, to hear all the information in terms of what the children are dealing with, what the mother is going through with the father, as it relates to the character, the moral lessons, everything. I'm getting to all those things right now, the determining factor when it comes to custody. But before that, let's get into what is custody? Okay, so Alabama Code 30-3-150 sets out the state of Alabama's stated policy that joint custody is preferred. Now, joint custody is where a mother and a father gets to have the children. So that joint custody could be in the form of a mother having the children during the week and a father getting visitation on the weekends or every other weekends, or it could be what they have right now, a 50-50. So, on the Alabama Code, it says the policy favors joint custody in order to assure that minor children, and we do know Melody children, once they're below the age of 19, they're minors. In the state of Alabama, it's not 18. All right, the age of majority is not 18 in Alabama, it's 19 years old. So even when they're 18, they're still considered to be minors, they're still children, okay, in Alabama, from what I've researched. Okay, assures the policy for favors joint custody in order to assure that minor children have frequent and continuing contact with their parents, where the parents have shown the ability to act in the best interests of their children, and to encourage parents to share in the rights and responsibilities of raising their children after the parents have separated or divorced. So, some keywords there, people. You have both parents have shown that they can make decisions in the best interest of the children. And so, because of that, both parents can share in the rights and responsibilities of raising their children after divorce in this case. The statute cautions that joint custody does not necessarily mean an equal amount of physical custody time to each parent. More often than not, even when joint custody is granted, one or the other parent is granted primary physical custody of the children of the marriage, and the other party is granted visitation rights. So the parent who is granted primary physical custody of the children, that parent, the children lives with that parent. That parent home is the home where the children they live in, and the other parent's home is just a home that they visit every so often. When they have visitation or access and visitation with the father or mother, that's the home they go to. But the home where they live, it's with the parent who has the primary physical and custody of the children. Uh, Moving along. So you might be asking, what are some of the determining factors to consider in custody case? You yourself might be going through a custody case and you would like to know, okay, what are some of the things this court will look at? So let's get into that. And remember again, please subscribe if you like my content. Please subscribe because whenever you see anything happening in social media and I cover it, I'm covering it for the information, yes, but I'm also covering it because I want to see what legal issue is lurking in and around, or what legal issue can potentially be there as a result of what we're seeing in social media. And so let's get back to determining factors. One, the sex and the age of the children. Yes, the court will look at the age of the children. Look at Malia's age as compared to Sugar Mama's age. So what Sugar Mama needs from a mother or a father right now will be different, a little different from what Malia needs. So the court will look at that. A young baby might need the nurturing of its mother. If it's a young baby and it's on the breast, then that baby will need to spend more time with the mother. So those are some of the things the court will look at: the sex and the age of the children. The court will also look at the characteristics and needs of the children, including their emotional, social, moral, material, and educational needs. So those are some of the things the court will look at. The court will also look at the respective home environment to each party. So they will look at the home Melody has provided for her children, and they will look at that in contrast to the home Martel has, where the children will spend time with him. The courts want to ensure that these children, no matter where they're at, they're getting a balance. They're in a caring home. They're in a home where there is no violence. They're in an area where they are safe. Okay. The specific characteristics of the party seeking custody, including that party's age, character, stability, mental, and physical health. So the court will look at the physical things for the child, the home where they will be in, the social, the emotional. Those are the things the court will look at, the material things, the educational needs of the children. They will look at the morals. What moral lessons are these children learning from these parents? How does that contradict whatever they learn in another parent's home? Those are the things the court will be looking at. The court will also be reverting that mirror back and look at Martel and Melody and say, what's your age, the character, the stability, the mental and physical health? Those are some of the things the court will be looking at. At the bottom, you can see I cite my source. I got it from this website, and I believe this is an attorney in Alabama. So for those of you who are in Alabama and would like to hear more on this, you can very well visit that law firm, Bradford Ladner LLP, for them to give you more insight into it. So other determining factors. The parties' respective capacity and interest in providing for the needs of the children, including social, moral, material, and educational needs, the interpersonal relationship between each child, and the interpersonal relationship between the children and the parents. So the court will be looking at that relationship these four children have with their father, as well as that relationship these four children have with their mother. So the court will be looking at that. You might be asking, well, how the court will be doing that? Will the court, like the judge or the magistrate or whomever, the judge in this case, go to the house? No. The judge will not be the one to go directly to the house. They usually appoint what we call a guardian ad litem, and it is that guardian ad litem who really have the best interest of the children at heart. And so that guardian ad litem would be the one to set up meetings and do reports and make recommendations and all these things to the judge, having regard to the fact that he is the one who is on the ground, who is going to the home, who is monitoring the home, who is speaking to the children. If the children are of a particular age, I believe in the state of Alabama, once a child is above the age of 5, the guardian ad litem can interview them, can speak to them and hear what they are saying and what they want. Because there is a part where the court can take into consideration the wishes of the child, and the wishes of the child is, hey, Tank is saying he wants to live with his mother, or Malia is saying she wants to live with her father. So the wishes of the child. And while the court will pay attention to the wishes of the child because they will be of a particular age, the court will also look at other things: the social, the moral, the material, the educational, the character of these parents, the home environment. So it's a long list of things the court will look at, and it all depends on the circumstances within which these children are in. So let's go to the next slide. The other slide says the preference of the child, and by that I meant the wishes of the child, who the child wants to live with, what the child is saying. So the court will take that into consideration, because after all, at the end of the day, when the court makes a decision, it's these children who will have to live with those decisions made by the court. Another consideration, the guardian ad litem, as I said, will provide a report, and so reports a recommendation from expert witnesses for independent investigators, either of the party or those appointed by the court. The ones appointed by the court, the guardian ad litem, in whatever independent investigators involved in this case, whatever expert witnesses, it could be a child, a psychiatrist who has dealt with children and can come and talk about children who are in similar circumstances, what happens to them or what they see, children who are exposed to certain thing in a home, what is the outcome of those children, or what kind of traits these children have, or what kind of harm or trauma these children experience. So those are the kind of experts that can lend ear to the court, so the court can be very careful and very mindful that when it makes a decision for custody, that decision is being done in the best interest of the children. The other slide says any other factor or relevant evidence which may be presented by the parties that has a bearing on a determination of the best interest of the child. So bear in mind that whenever a court sits in custody or maintenance or any issue of that sort, best interest of the child, what is best for these children, what is best, and not what is best for the parents, it's what is best for the children. And so here, some of the things that I can point out that when the court looks at it, they look at misconduct by a party may affect custody case, where the misconduct has a demonstrated effect on the children. So one of the parties, Melody or Martel, one of their misconduct, the way they behave, the things they do, and things that they do either on social media, things they do either in public, or things they just do in the home that it's become to the knowledge of the guardian ad litem or some expert. So the court will look at those might be some determining factor. What kind of conduct you have? How do you all behave? So the key to a determination of whether some bad habit or bad conduct by party may affect custody is a determination of whether that bad habit or conduct directly affected the child. So let's look at it from what I can recall, and I know other YouTube bloggers might recall more, and I invite you to share it at the bottom in the comments so we could all learn from it and all see how the conduct they shape up and how these conducts by parents can go before the court in the form of a report and lead to certain recommendation being made against you having custody or primary care and control of the children. And so let's look at it. Some of the negative comments about Martel's ex-wife on social media. Comments emanating from him. Comments emanating from people who are closely associated with him, where it can be shown that he's the one who caused them to make that comment, or he's the one behind it. Recall on the when they went to on the Destin trip, and Mel and Martel were having that meeting, that dinner that night, the last night, and Mel told him that he was the ringleader. So you would never know. Maybe something that from his actions, him being the ringleader, could very well be before the court. I know that when we saw, I think it was Empress Radio who had posted the listing as it relates to who all are the witnesses in the custody matter, and we saw Letitia, and we saw different people. Those people could be there for that reason, because the conduct, to show proof of the conduct, because I think while many YouTubers were thinking that, oh, she's going there as witness for Martel, if you look at it carefully, no, she wasn't. She would have been a witness for Melody. However, I believe I saw in the bloggers that she never appeared, well, for whatever reason that is. Okay, and that could very well be because they were in mediation. We don't know. So let's see. Or maybe it could have been a trial because it would have been recent. Okay, another conduct I see from Martel that could potentially have implication on his trial is him recording his daughter conversation and posting it on social media. I don't know why he would do that, why he would post it. I did do a video, and you can go back and look at that older video in which I discussed as to the legal implications of him doing so. And I think I recorded that a parent can consent for a child. And I dealt with the issue of one party consent in different states, and Alabama being one of those states where one party to a conversation can legally record the other and without their consent, and record the other without their consent. So it's not illegal what he did. However, it might not be illegal, but the morality of it, it shows his character. The fact that he was talking to these children about their mother and questioning them, and not only doing that, but to the extent of where he records it. And not only that, but to the extent of where he posted it on social media. So the court will look at those things, could very well look at those things. Showing up to birthday party uninvited and possibly created a scene where allegedly they wanted to call the police. Things like that could not have been well for the children to see. I mean, no, the children love their mother, they love their father. No children want to see a parent or the other being, in a position where, they're not at their best. And so it could have very well affected those children. His supposed detention, I say supposed because we haven't seen any proof, even though we know the bloggers you all have been working and putting out information and showing that there was some disturbance. Whatever that disturbance is, if it affected the children, then yes, that could be something the court has before it and consider. His alleged outburst at the reunion, we might not have seen it, but that does not mean that it's not before the court. It doesn't mean that Melody wasn't able to secure a recording of it or herself being a witness, put it there before the court as it relates to it shows his character. The children being in the pan of a pickup truck when he was grand marshal in Selma, potential safety hazard in my opinion, and so that as well could show his decision making skill. The fact that he had one child, I believe that was Maverick, he had one child in his lap in a truck without the safety gears, and then he has two of his with Melody in the back seat with a lady was there, and the others in the pan of the truck. The sun, the exposure, the safety hazard, what that it could pose. That could also be something before the court. What it is showing, it's showing his decision making skills when he has the children in his care and in his custody, so to speak. That Christmas outing where they were in the cold, I recall seeing on YouTube where he and the children they were out early one morning when he had them for the Christmas holiday, and it was really cold. And I think people were asking him why they out this early, why what happened to the kids, why the kids aren't inside, and so on. So things like that could very well be potential things. It might not be overwhelming in itself to say okay, this show bad conduct on his part or bad character, but when you take each one and you put them together, you lump them together, you see a trend, and that possibly could be something there. Um, Another thing that could be there, I mean, I'm sure there's lots more that you all recall that I don't recall at this moment for the purpose of this video. But hey, for those of you who recall them, please comment so we could have the discussion. So you might be asking, what is legal custody? Well, legal custody refers to which parent has the primary responsibility and authority to make major decisions about the child's life, including but not limited to education, health care, and religion. And there are two types of legal custody. You have the sole legal custody, which refers to when one parent have these rights, the rights to make major decision for the children. Or you have joint custody, and that is when both parents have equal rights to make these decisions. They have the rights to make these decisions, and they both have the responsibility for these major decisions concerning their children. Again, at the bottom, you see I cite my source. What is visitation? For those of you who might be asking, okay, if we said access and visitation, what is that? Well, visitation is the right to spend time with your child. Judges will usually grant some form of visitation rights to parents who do not have physical custody of their children, except where a judge finds that it would be unsafe or otherwise harmful to the child. So a parent who does not have custody has a right to access and visitation. However, the court will make a decision based on whether or not they believe these children will be safe when they go to the other parent who does not have custody. And so that is it. That is the end of this video. I hope you learned a lot from it. And for those of you who are going through something similar to what Mel is going through, please feel free. Please ensure you get an attorney to represent you in your matter. Ensure you're truthful to your attorney, and ensure you give your attorney all the information. And for those of you who are in the state of Alabama, this is a tidbit of what to expect and how it works. And so you could reach out to an attorney there in your state. As you saw, the source of this information came from a firm, Bradford Ladner, I believe it is, LLP. Feel free to reach out to them. They've put this information on social media, on the internet. So it seems as though they really and truly want to help people at least get a bearing, a start of what the information is. Now, how the courts will look at it will all depends on your particular circumstances. And that is why it is so important that you reach out to an attorney in your particular state, because attorney from another state, well, they're not barred to represent you there. So what it means is that you could very well not have representation. And so that is it for our video. Thank you all for joining me. Please subscribe so you could get more of content of this nature. And my next video, I will be doing a review of Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 6, Episode 1. I did a video already, however, the audio was not working, and now your girl figured out how to do that. And so, yeah, I'm going to be doing a review of that as well with audio this time. Okay? Thank you, and do enjoy the rest of your day.